Discover the incredible truth, manager's shocking warning to employee exposed as CEO's own son. Sam had spent years upholding the American dream through the sweat of his brow. As a Navy veteran and a manager at the local manufacturing company, he knew what hard work meant. Each day, he arrived early, exchanging pleasantries with familiar faces. He understood the struggles of his crew. They were more than just co-workers, they were neighbors, friends, a makeshift family bound together by the daily grind of life in a small town where dreams seemed to evaporate in the strangling haze of economic inequality. But everything changed when Jake rolled in, fresh out of college with a swagger that could take down an army. He wore designer clothes and had an air of entitlement that left Sam uneasy. Rumor mill whispers began weaving tales of Jake being Barry's long-lost son, the CEO known for his icy demeanor and tight grip on the company's reins. The moment Sam caught wind of it, a tightness settled in his chest and his gut churned with anger. He couldn't stand the thought of favoritism overshadowing the hard-earned work of his employees, who were the true heartbeat of the company. Over the next few weeks, Jake walked the floor as if he owned it, while Sam bit back resentment. Tensions grew as seasoned workers whispered about long hours and unpaid overtime, while Jake sauntered in late, unscathed by the rules that had bent others. The workplace atmosphere soured like old milk on a summer day. At a heated meeting that felt like a powder keg, Sam's frustration bubbled over. He stood up and raised his voice. Words came tumbling out, raw and urgent, fighting for fairness against Barry's chilling silence. Every eye in the room was on him while every bit of courage pulled him forward. "This isn't right," he declared, voice cracking with emotion. Before he realized it, he had ignited a firestorm. Barry's face turned red, and an awkward silence filled the room. As he took in the pain of his words, the walls seemed to close in. The moment was heavy like a thick fog wrapping around them, enveloping Barry's buried secrets and the aching desperation of Jake's need for approval. Feeling the weight of responsibility not just to his crew but also for the estranged father and son, Sam's anger began to morph into something new: compassion. It was then that he felt the intensity of someone else's fight, the scars that stitched together past hurts. After the words had been spoken, he found himself reflecting on his own battles, both abroad and at home. What was he asking for, merit or justice? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he walked out after the meeting, his mind was a swirling tornado of emotions, unresolved feelings, admiration for his co-workers, pity for Barry, and once again, a hint of disdain for Jake. Just then, he found himself face to face with Jake in the break room, a moment of vulnerability hanging between them. Sam could sense the boy's anguish, a hunger for acceptance that mirrored his own quest for respect. What if Jake wasn't just a spoilt kid, but a man yearning for a father's attention? The question loomed. Could understanding bridge the gap? Could hard-won merit overcome the easy road paved by privilege? Sam stood there, caught in the crossfire of alliances and issues layered deep in the fabric of their lives. A decision loomed heavy in the air. Could he rise above envy to mend fences, or would he let the flame of anger consume him? The fragile threads of redemption dangled, about to snap or weave a new pattern entirely. Sam's heart raced as he faced Jake, the young man's distinct features mirroring those of Barry's sharp jawline, piercing blue eyes, and an unsettling confidence. There was a vulnerability about Jake that carefully cracked through his polished exterior, causing Sam to reconsider the boy's bravado. "Look," Jake started hesitantly, rubbing the back of his neck, "I know things aren't exactly smooth right now between us." His voice was an odd mix of defiance and timidity. "But my dad, he can be hard to deal with." That simple admission felt like a crack of thunder in the intimate stillness of the break room. A long breath escaped Sam's lips as he took in the weight of Jake's struggles. Here was a man born into privilege, yet still tethered to the prisons of expectations and attention. Perhaps they were not so unlike after all. We've all got our battles, Sam said slowly, choosing his words carefully. He couldn't help but remember the faces of those he fought for, those who relied on him. You're right, this isn't right. But it's not just your fault. It's the system, it's the way things are. He felt accused of betrayal, but the fire within him softened into understanding. Jake leaned against the counter, the veneer of entitlement wavering. I just want a chance, you know. To prove myself. To be more than just Barry's son. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, Sam saw something genuine in Jake, a shared fear of inadequacy, the persistent whisper of never being enough. If Sam's anger had been a flame, this conversation was the rain he hadn't realized he needed. As they stood in silence, the sounds of a bustling factory echoed just outside, machines whirring, voices blending, cementing the sense of urgency in their exchange. It pulled Sam back to the reality surrounding them, a world where Jake's struggles felt precarious against the backdrop of the workers who invested their lives into the factory like they were building their dreams in concrete. Listen, Sam continued, the resolve in his voice finding strength, if you really want to prove yourself, it's not about showing up in a suit and tie. It's about rolling up your sleeves and becoming part of the team. You've got to earn their trust, earn it from the ground up. You do that, and maybe then people will see you for who you really are, not just your last name. Jake shifted uncomfortably, a hint of frustration flaring in his eyes. You don't think I'm trying? You don't know what it's like to bear the weight of others' expectations. It isn't easy. No, I don't, Sam said bluntly, but then softened. But I do know what it means to fight for respect. To stand beside your crew and carry their burdens. That's real work, Jake. That's what will build you up. Just then, the break room door swung open, and their manager, Paul, walked in, disrupting the moment. He glanced between the two men, a quizzical look on his face. Sam's heart sank as he realized they would need to navigate this fragile understanding behind closed doors, no help from the outside world. Hey, what is going on here? Paul asked, noticing the charged atmosphere. They both stiffened, but at that moment, Sam knew he would not let fear dictate the conversation anymore. He straightened his back, pushing aside his lingering doubts. One way or another, bridges would have to be built. Would they be strong enough to withstand the storms ahead? As Sam cast a sidelong glance at Jake, he saw something spark determination. Perhaps. An idea that understanding could lead to something more. Just then, Paul interrupted his thoughts with a specific request. We've got a problem on the floor. Sam, can you come with me? The urgency of the moment caught Sam off guard, and as he nodded, he exchanged a quick glance with Jake. They both understood they had more conversations ahead, more lessons to learn together. Would Sam help Jake find his place? Or would Lucas grab every opportunity and run wild with it? With his mind racing, Sam followed Paul into the unknown. Neither man knew that this burgeoning connection would soon be tested in ways they couldn't foresee. The hard truth loomed: the stakes were about to get much higher. Would they rise to the occasion together? Sam stepped into the hum of the factory, leaving the fragile camaraderie with Jake behind him. The air felt thick with tension, a cocktail of machinery and uncertainty swirling around him. Paul led the way, his expression serious, the lines on his face deeper than Sam remembered. What's the issue? Sam asked as they moved through the noisy rows of machines. The clattering sounds made it hard to concentrate, each vibration a reminder of the chaos enveloping them. Got a report of a malfunction in the assembly area, Paul replied, his tone clipped. We can't afford any delays. If Lucas is cutting corners again, it's going to fall back on you. Sam bristled at the mention of Lucas, who made no secret of his disdain for the more experienced hands. The thought of him potentially jeopardizing safety to save time filled Sam with frustration. I'll handle it, he assured Paul, stifling the urge to voice his thoughts about Lucas's reckless behavior. Instead, he focused on what mattered: a solution. Paul nodded and continued ahead, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Sam followed, his mind buzzing. Maybe this was the moment to talk to Jake again. Maybe they could tackle this together, address the bigger issues instead of hiding behind their father's legacies. As they approached the assembly line, the atmosphere shifted. The workers, a mix of seasoned veterans and new hires, gathered near one of the machines that had ground to a halt. The usual buzz of the factory was muted, replaced by murmurs of concern. "Get back to work!" Paul shouted, drawing the attention of the group. "We're figuring this out." But his command lacked authority. It was merely a desperate plea. Sam stepped forward, noticing the anxious eyes of his co-workers fixed on him. "Let's take a look," he said, more to calm the crowd than anything else. He crouched down where the machine stood silent, dead weight against the floor, and tried to find the source of the problem. He could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. It reminded him of his earlier conversation with Jake, so intertwined with the idea of proving oneself. Just then, he noticed a mechanical part slightly out of alignment. With a gentle nudge, it clicked back into place. "Ready?" He called to the group, and they all leaned in, watching closely. In a moment of harmony, Sam whirred the machine back to life. Its familiar clattering was a triumphant sound, drawing a smile on his face. Murmurs of relief washed over the crowd, and he felt the collective tension lifting. But as Sam stood up, he felt something shift. A shadow flickered in the corner of his vision, and turning, he spotted Jake entering the scene. His eyes lit up with that same fierce determination Sam had glimpsed earlier. The moment felt charged, an unspoken agreement that they'd have to tackle more than just machinery moving forward. Jake made his way through the crowd, the respect he had long sought beginning to bubble to the surface. Sam noticed a subtle change in how people regarded him. They weren't just seeing Barry's son. They were seeing Jake. "Hey! What did I miss?" Jake asked, flashing a quick smile that felt genuine. Before Sam could respond, Paul interjected, "We need more hands on this. Jake, you're with Sam. Get a grip on the workloads, find out how we're getting over budget." The words were a downward spiral, sending the momentum spiraling. Sam's heart raced again, torn between relief and frustration. Should they really be in this together? Would Jake deliver or retreat back into his privileged cocoon? But the chance was there. As they dug into the tasks, working side by side, Sam felt an unexpected flicker of hope. They were both trying to stake their claims in a world that had assigned them roles before they had even arrived, but just as he began to think they could make a real change, a loud crash echoed from further down the line, a chaotic explosion of fright. Their eyes met in a shared panic, and Sam knew one thing for certain: they were not finished yet. Would this new awakening be enough to rise above their pasts? Or would they buckle under the pressure that came next? The sound of the crash reverberated through the factory, slicing through the moment of unity Sam had felt with Jake. His heart pounded, drowning out the noise of clattering machinery as they turned toward the source of the chaos. The panic-stricken faces of their co-workers mirrored Sam's own fear. "What was that?" Jake asked, his brows furrowed. Sam could see the determination in his eyes, but also the flicker of uncertainty. This wasn't just about machinery anymore. It was about stakes rising higher than either of them had anticipated. Before Sam could respond, another sharp clatter echoed, this time followed by frantic footsteps. A group of workers sprinted past them, heading toward the far end of the assembly line. It was clear something was very wrong. "Paul!" Sam shouted, adrenaline surging. "We need to, I'm on it." Paul's voice cut through the cacophony, his command firm as he moved with purpose. "Everyone, stay where you are. We'll figure this out." But Sam could see the worry etched into Paul's eyes. This was more than just a machine breaking down, it felt like a fracture in their fragile system, one that could threaten everything they built. Jake glanced at Sam, urgency weaving through his expression. "We need to help," he said, shifting his stance as if to move. Sam nodded, feeling an unexpected pull toward the scene of destruction. They were in this together, after all. "Let us go," Sam urged, leading the way. As they reached the assembly line's end, the sight before them was maddening. Parts lay scattered, and one of the more experienced machinists, Greg, knelt beside a fallen piece of equipment, his face pale. "Greg! You all right?" Sam called out, rushing to him. "Just a minor disaster," Greg breathed, his hands shaking slightly as he secured a wayward bolt. "But I'm not sure we'll be able to fix this in time. Production's already behind schedule." With Lucas overseeing this part of the line, his voice trailed off, laden with implications. "That's it," Jake interjected, his voice gaining strength. "If there are leaks in the process, we need to contain them now. Sam and I can handle getting this back online, while you manage the rest." Sam was surprised by Jake's confidence but felt a swell of camaraderie. "Together, we can make it work." Sam agreed, their gazes locking as they shared a moment of reinforced purpose. The tension crackled in the air as they hastily gathered tools, working side by side, the machinery churning with the familiar sounds of repair. Jake's hands flew over the parts, deftly tightening screws as Sam checked the electrical connections. They moved in sync, adrenaline driving them, but a question gnawed at the back of Sam's mind: what if they didn't fix this? What if Lucas's reckless methods brought everything crashing down? As they worked to secure the machine, the echoes of their father's legacies loomed large over them, shadows of expectation weighing heavier with every passing moment. Would they always be defined by their pasts? Would they ever carve their own paths? With the last bolt tightened, they stepped back, hands on hips. "Ready to test it?" Sam asked, his voice trembling slightly, uncertainty gnawing at him. "Let us do it," Jake replied, his smile radiating a fierce determination. As the machine hummed to life with a quiet roar, the crowd around them erupted in cheers, the tension in the room finally breaking. Sam's chest swelled with pride and relief, but that joy was abruptly cut short as Paul's phone buzzed loudly in his pocket. He pulled it out, his expression darkening. "Not good, boys," Paul said, worry flecking his voice as he texted back frantically. "We've got bigger problems than just this. Lucas is in a meeting with the board, and they've caught wind of the budget issues." Sam's heart dropped as they realized this was just the precursor to a storm brewing overhead. What was the board's reaction going to be? Would they be forced to pay the price for Lucas's mistakes? The challenging stakes hung heavy as the realization hit them. This wasn't just about machinery anymore, it was about survival. And as Sam exchanged a worried look with Jake, they both understood one thing. They had just taken a small step forward, but a larger fight lay ahead. Would they face it together, or would the weight of their pasts tear them apart? Sam felt the air thicken as Paul's words hung over them like dark clouds. The factory, once a place of routine and camaraderie, now felt like a pressure cooker ready to explode. The cheers around him faded, replaced by the rapid thumping of his heart in his ears. Lucas's reputation wasn't just at stake, it was their job security hanging by a thread too. Jake moved closer, his eyes scanning the crowd. "We can't let this slide. We need to figure out what's behind those budget issues. If the board gets involved, then we need to act fast," Sam interjected, shaking off the dread creeping into his bones. "What's our next move?" Paul nodded, his brows knitting with the weight of responsibility. "We need intel. I'll reach out to some contacts. But while I do that, you should cover our bases here. If Lucas is in hot water, it could impact everything." The resolve in Jake's eyes mirrored Sam's uncertainty. "Right. Let us keep the production line running and gather information without getting caught in Lucas's crossfire." They dispersed, ready for a new kind of battle, one that required stealth over strength. Sam gravitated toward the break room, where whispers often floated about the happenings behind closed doors. He glanced at Jake, who was already typing on his phone, trying to reach anyone who might have insights. "Let us split up, yeah. I'll check in with Hannah. She's been pretty close to the finance team lately," Sam suggested, trying to keep his voice steady. Jake nodded. I'll swing by HR, might catch wind of any layoffs or restructuring plans. We need to be ready for anything. Sam felt the urgency settle upon their shoulders like an invisible weight. He hurried down the narrow corridors, the factory's backdrop transforming into a maze of dread. Each echo of footsteps felt amplified, a reminder of how fragile their unity was becoming. That he reached the break room, pushing the door open to discover a small group gathered. Their voices softened, eyes darting to the door as if they could feel the tension outside. Sam joined the circle, faking indifference, but the feel of the room was electric with anxiety. Hannah, I need your take on what is happening. Paul mentioned budget issues. You got anything? Sam asked, trying to suppress the urgency lacing his words. Hannah looked at him, her brow furrowing. I've heard whispers about the board not being happy with Lucas's creative accounting methods. This has been brewing for a while. People are worried. And if they start cutting corners. Her words dripped with apprehension, and Sam felt his palms grow sweaty. What does that mean for us? It depends on how badly this spills out, she replied, glancing at the door before leaning in closer. If the board decides to take action, they're not just looking to punish him. They could clean house. That hit Sam like a punch to the gut. Thanks, Hannah, he muttered, backing away, his mind racing. He needed to find Jake and fast. If the two of them were to save their futures, they had to be on the same page. With uncertainty brewing around them, the gravity of Lucas's mistakes felt like a ticking time bomb. He found Jake outside HR, pacing, his phone clutched like a lifeline. Any news? Sam asked, feeling the tension radiate off Jake. Just rumors, but they sound bad. Really bad. Jake's eyes met Sam's, holding a mix of fear and determination. We can't wait for this to unfold on its own. We have to make a stand. Agreed, Sam replied, his heart racing. But what can we do? As their eyes locked, a shared knowing passed between them. They weren't just fighting for the company, they were fighting for each other. Suddenly, Paul's voice crackled through. Get back here. We need a plan. Now. Sam and Jake sprinted back, anticipation churning in their guts. As they entered the circle, Paul pointed to a new, whiteboard filled with disorganized numbers and notes. Lucas's financials look worse than we thought, Paul said, a heavy grimace etched on his face. We need to figure out a way to cover for him, or we'll all go down with the ship. A feeling of determination surged. Forward. This was not just about machinery or their jobs anymore, it was about loyalty and trust in a world slowly crumbling around them. But deep down, a voice whispered doubts. Could they really save what seemed lost? As they began plotting their next move, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was only just beginning. Would they be heroes, or would their efforts unravel under the weight of impending disaster? The thought left an unsettling knot in his stomach, just as Paul's phone buzzed again, prompting everyone to look up with apprehension. Was it another bad omen, or the start of their path to redemption? The answer waited, hidden in the shadows. Sam's heart raced as the phone buzzed, a sharp sound cutting through the buzz of anxiety that filled the break room. Paul grabbed the device, his expression tightening as he read whatever news flashed on the screen. The pause felt interminable, the energy in the room shifting dangerously. Sam exchanged glances with Jake, both knowing they were teetering on the edge of chaos. What is it? Jake finally broke the silence, his voice low but urgent. Paul looked up, his face a mask of concern. It's about Lucas. The board is meeting this afternoon. There's a chance they might suspend him immediately. Sam felt the air leave his lungs. That would be catastrophic. We need him to present a defense, he must have some explanations lined up for them. If they don't hear him out, they'll only see what's on paper, Jake added, eyes narrowing in thought. And that's not good for any of us. Paul nodded, running a hand through his hair in agitation. We can't let that happen. We have to buy Lucas some time, anything. If he doesn't get that chance, we're all in serious trouble. Panic began to rise like bile in Sam's throat. They needed a plan, and fast. Maybe we can gather more evidence to show the board that Lucas isn't solely at fault. If we can highlight some of the unreasonable targets they set, it might help his case. I can reach out to some of the guys on the floor, Jake said, determination etching his features. If they've seen any corner cutting or anomalies, that could work for Lucas. But we have to tread carefully, Paul warned, intensity marking his tone. If the board senses dissent, we could be seen as a threat. That could lead to more drastic measures. The three exchanged a resolute look. They were embroiled in a web of corporate politics they had never anticipated, yet each knew they couldn't turn back. As they prepared to split up and begin gathering information, the breakroom door swung open. Hannah stepped in, her expression tight with urgency. "Guys! You need to hear this." She quickly approached, lowering her voice. "I overheard a conversation in finance. They're getting ready to announce a restructuring plan that could affect the whole department, Lucas included." "What? When?" Sam pressed, anxiety creeping back into his chest. "Today. If they let Lucas go without a fight, it might send them into a bloodbath of layoffs," she said, voice trembling slightly. "They might think this is the perfect opportunity to cut back on costs." Jake clenched his fists, jaw tight. "Then we don't have much time. We need to mobilize everyone. Show the board that we will stand by Lucas, that we refuse to let this slide without a fight." Hannah nodded. "I can rally some of the folks in payroll. If they sense this will put their jobs in jeopardy too, we could have a united front." As they strategized, Sam could feel the urgency of their situation crystallizing. They were in this together. It was more than just loyalty to Lucas, it was the very future of their work family hanging in the balance. "I'll handle the crew on the floor," Paul said, determination painting his features. "We need numbers when we go to the board. Strength in numbers. It matters more than anything right now." Fueled by adrenaline, they split up with firm resolve, willing to face whatever challenges came their way. Sam's heart thrummed in his chest, part excitement, part dread. He couldn't help but wonder if they were making the right decision, or if storming the boardroom might end in disaster. With each step he took down the corridor, he thought of the stakes resting on their shoulders. Their future was uncertain, but for better or for worse, they were all in this together. As Sam approached the production area, he felt the unease from earlier creeping back. The laughter that once filled these halls had been replaced with whispers and worried glances. Would they be able to pull off the impossible? Would they stand united against the tide or drown in the chaos? As Sam stepped into the floor of machinery, he couldn't shake the feeling the battle was just beginning, and the tension was only going to rise. Would the wrong move spell their end, or give them a fighting chance? Sam inhaled deeply, stepping carefully onto the factory floor. The usual din of machines seemed eerily muted, replaced by a thick cloud of uncertainty. His co-workers moved with wary eyes, each face reflecting the weight of the impending storm. He approached a cluster by the assembly line. Greg, a foreman with years at the company, squinted at him. "Did you hear about Lucas?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, but Sam could hear the tension there. "Yeah, we're doing everything we can to support him," Sam replied, trying to sound confident. "We need to show them he's not alone. People are scared, Sam." Greg shook his head. "If they see it's a risk to back Lucas, they won't step up. They'll just watch out for themselves." A wave of frustration coursed through Sam. It was hard to accept their loyalty hinged on fear. "Then we need to make them see that losing Lucas affects all of us. We can't be divided right now." A few faces nodded, but Sam felt the heaviness in the air. The stakes were high and echoes of hesitance only ran deeper. He needed to instill confidence, to rally them together. "Let me speak to everyone. Just give me a few minutes. I promise I'll make it worthwhile." Slowly, murmurs of agreement flowed. He stepped into the center of their makeshift congregation, clearing his throat. "Listen up, everyone," he called, voice raised over the machine hum. "I know we're facing a tough situation. Lucas isn't just a manager, he's one of us. He's fought for all of you, day in and day out. Now, it's our turn to fight for him." The crowd shifted, eyes lighting with uncertainty but curiosity too. "If we can come together, we can create a wave they won't ignore. We need everyone to step up. Highlight the targets they set, collect some stories. If we can show we're united, the board won't dare make rash decisions." The murmurs turned to quiet discussions. Sam felt the energy starting to change, a flicker of hope igniting. But would it be enough? "Okay, we can do this," a voice called out from the back. Sandra, who had often been quiet. "But what if they fire us instead?" Sam's heart sank. "It's not about securing our jobs," he admitted, feeling the weight of his own words. "It's about standing for what's right. If we let fear control us now, we'll lose everything, anyway." Silence fell over the room as they considered this. He saw nodding heads. Maybe fear was giving way to courage. Then Jake burst through the crowd, out of breath. "They're meeting. They're talking about restructuring right now, just down the hall." No one moved immediately. They felt the collective tension pull tighter. The clock was ticking, and time wasn't on their side. "This is it, folks," Sam shouted, urgency escalating in his voice. "If we're going to take a stand for Lucas, it has to be now. We can't let the board see us falter." As the group began to murmur in agreement, Sam felt a rush of adrenaline. They were ready to take this moment into their own hands. But anxiety knotted his stomach. What if this bold move only worsened things? More worried glances passed through the crowd. Were they truly strong enough to confront the board? The air vibrated with a mix of fear and hope as they gathered together, arms linking in a makeshift chain of solidarity. But just as they turned toward the boardroom, an unexpected hush fell. A figure cloaked in authority stepped out from the shadows. Mr. Randall, the CEO. His sharp gaze swept over the group, and he raised an eyebrow, poised to speak. Everyone stopped. Would he ally with them or cut them down? As they readied themselves, hearts pounding in synchronized beats, the question loomed large. What would he reveal that could change the course of their fight? Mr. Randall's presence was overwhelming, a palpable weight that pressed down on the gathered group. The silence stretched thin, taut with anticipation. He stood there, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, palms resting easily on his hips. Yet there was a flicker in his eyes that seemed almost imperceptible. Was it concern? "Curious gathering you have here, workers," he began, his voice smooth yet authoritative. "I take it the rumors about Lucas have reached even the factory floor." The anxious energy surged through the crowd. Sam could feel the restlessness, their collective breath held, waiting for a glimmer of hope. "We're here to support Lucas, sir," Sam managed, stepping forward, voice steady. "He's always fought for us. We just want fairness." Mr. Randall's brow furrowed slightly. "Fairness." He repeated the word, rolling it over as if tasting it for the first time. "That's quite the ambitious goal, isn't it?" Whispers rippled through the crowd. Nervous laughter mingled with muffled snickers. Sam took a breath, summoning every ounce of courage. "Ambitious, yes, but it's the right thing to do. We're family here, and we're ready to stand together." "Family?" Mr. Randall echoed, his tone edged with skepticism. "In a factory, you're all cogs in a machine. It's business. You should know as much." Greg stepped out from the back, his face tight with a mix of anger and fear. "We're more than that. We have lives and families outside these walls. Have you considered that?" Sam held his breath, heart racing. It was a risk, but it was the truth. The tension in the air morphed into something almost electric. Mr. Randall paused, studying them. For a moment, it felt like he might respond. But then he shrugged, dismissive. The board will do what's necessary. Lucas, unfortunately, is a casualty of the times. What do you mean by that? Someone yelled from the back, and the crowd murmured in approval. Economic pressures, downsizing. These are not personal decisions, they're business necessities. His tone was cold, but there was a flicker behind his eyes, a glimmer of something that hinted at vulnerability. You're just going to let him go? Sam asked, disbelief in his voice. No discussion. No regard for everything he has done for us. Mr. Randall's expression hardened. Do you really think raising voices will change that? It's already decided. With every word, Sam felt a fire igniting in his chest. We won't let it go like this. We're ready to fight. And when the time comes, we'll show you just how powerful unity can be. For a heartbeat, Mr. Randall's gaze held a semblance of surprise. It was quickly replaced by an icy calmness, but Sam could see the ripple of concern beneath the surface. Be careful how far you go, he finally said, an edge creeping into his voice. You might not like the outcome of your efforts. With that, he turned, retreating into the boardroom, leaving the assembly with a sense of urgency rippling through them. The group remained silent, absorbing the weight of the moment. We need a plan, Sam said, his heart pounding. If we're going to support Lucas, we need more than shouting. We need evidence, stories, something to prove our case to the board. We must show them the impact of their decisions. One by one, heads nodded. There it was, that flicker of hope again. It was bright and unyielding, lighting a way forward, just as voices began to rise in agreement. A muffled cry echoed from the boardroom. It was a voice familiar yet distant, Lucas himself. The muffled tone carried a hint of desperation, rising above the chaos. What is happening? Stunned, the group turned to one another. Was he in trouble? Did they dare to push further? Sam's heart raced as the collective realization settled in. What would they decide next? Would their fight for Lucas lead them deeper into trouble, or could it change everything? The stakes had just been raised. The room buzzed with a mixture of fear and indignation. Sam could see the uncertainty etched on the faces of his colleagues. They were scared, perhaps more than he had wanted to admit. And with that muffled cry from Lucas echoing in his ears, it felt as if time had slowed to a crawl. Someone needs to go in there, he urged, his voice firm. We can't let this stand. Lucas, he needs us. Greg squared his shoulders. I'll do it. I'll go show them we're not backing down. The way his jaw clenched sent a surge of respect through Sam. They all were fighting for something greater than themselves now. Another voice piped up from the back, an older worker, Miss Thompson. We can't just burst in there. We need a strategy first. They'll just dismiss us. Sam's heart sank, but he understood her fear. You're right. But we can't just wait. His thoughts raced. What would be the best way to proceed? They had to make a dent, to rattle the board and show them the strength that lay in their unity. Why not gather our stories? Suggested Greg. If we can compile how Lucas has made a difference in each of our lives, then maybe, just maybe, they'll listen. We can show them the real faces behind the decisions. Hope flickered in Sam's chest. Yes. If we can pull together testimonies, it would make it harder for Mr. Randall to brush us off. We're fighting for the man who always stood up for us. As whispers of agreement washed over the crowd, Sam took a moment to look around at the faces illuminated by passion. This was it. This was the moment they had to seize. Okay, everyone, if you're in, let us split into groups. We'll meet back here in an hour. Take the time to jot down how Lucas has personally impacted your life. Bring it all, the good, the bad, everything. It's important for them to see the human side of us, Sam directed, feeling the energy of the group shift. As they dispersed, Sam felt a comforting wave of purpose. The clock was ticking, but they had momentum now. He would not allow Lucas's faith in them to falter. He slipped into the hallway, his feet moving instinctively toward the boardroom door. Was it too late? Could he slip in and get a glimpse of what awaited Lucas? The muffled voices of Mr. Randall and the board members floated through the cracks. He pressed his ear closer, straining to hear beyond the barrier. "We can't afford to keep him," Mr. Randall's voice was cold, steely. "The market demands efficiency, and he is a liability." A wave of anger rolled through Sam. How could they just see numbers instead of the people affected? Suddenly, the door creaked open slightly, and his heart leaped. Just a sliver of space. There, in a triangle of light, he caught a glimpse of Lucas, sitting at the head of the table, looking worn yet resolute. Sam felt a lump form in his throat. But as he was about to decide whether to barge in or retreat, another voice joined the fray, a softer tone, one he didn't recognize, yet it carried an air of authority that sent shivers down his spine. "This isn't just about business. It's about legacy and what we have built together." His fingers instinctively gripped the door frame. Who was that? What could they possibly know? His heart raced. Would they fight for Lucas? Could this new ally change everything? The urgency bubbled within him as he stood there, listening to the unraveling of what might just be the opportunity they had desperately needed. Would they turn the tide? What truth lay hidden within those walls? Sam's heart hammered as he held his breath, waiting for the answers to unfold. As Sam stood there, tension filled the air like thick fog. The pitch around him shifted from fear to anticipation, igniting a spark of hope within. He leaned closer, unable to pull away from the whispers threading through the crack of the door. The voice that spoke of legacy vibrated with authority, kindling the courage he desperately clung to. "And if we damage the trust we've built with our workforce?" The unfamiliar speaker continued. "If we sever the ties of loyalty, we risk everything: our reputation, our community, and perhaps most importantly, our future." At that moment, Sam felt the weight of what was happening. This wasn't just about Lucas, or the threat of layoffs. It was about the very spirit of their factory, the heart of their shared work and life. The shadows over the boardroom loomed, but so did the potential for light. "Enough." Mr. Randall's voice sliced through the tension. "We need to be pragmatic about this. We can't let sentimentality cloud our judgment." Sam's heart sank as he grasped the full reality. The cutthroat nature of business was closer than they had anticipated. Yet something had shifted. He could feel the energy outside the boardroom ripple. Was it the spirit of the workers, wanting justice for their manager? Or was it the beginning of a united front pushed by raw human emotion? With a loud inhale, Sam composed himself. He couldn't hold back now, the moment had come. He pushed the door fully open, stepping into the aftermath of a brewing storm. The startled faces of the board members turned to him, surprise flickering in their eyes, but there at the center was Lucas, fear and resolve etched into every line of his face. "Please, wait," Sam called, his voice ringing clear despite the tension thickening the air. "Before you make any decisions about Lucas, hear us out. We're here to stand with him." He stood tall, the workers rallying behind, a wall of support growing as they filled the doorway behind him. "You may see our loyalty as just a number in terms, but he has fought for each of us. We believe in him, in our team. This is about who we are." "What are you doing?" Mr. Randall snapped, the air crackling with unease. But Sam pressed on. "Lucas isn't just a manager, he is our leader. He has the respect of each and every one of us. If you push him out, you push against the very foundation of this factory. This isn't just about his job, it's about our community. None of us would be here without him." The board members exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to respond to the passion, the depth of emotion radiating from the group. Sam could feel the tide shifting as his voice echoed. "Wait, Sam," Jake stepped up, a mix of determination and vulnerability on his face. "Let us show them what it means to be a team. We wrote down how Lucas has impacted us personally. Everyone here has a story that shows he is more than just figures on a paper. Is this true? A board member asked, surprise etched on their face, the sentiment catching them flat-footed. This is who we are, Jake continued passionately. And if you make decisions without recognizing that, you risk losing not just Lucas, but the heart of this factory. As Jake spoke, murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled group. Heads nodded in reach, hearts beating in solidarity. Sam felt the excitement electrifying through the ranks. This was not just a desperate attempt to save their boss, it was a rallying cry for something bigger. We can't let fear dictate our futures, Greg added, his voice steady, tempered by years of experience. We owe it to the legacy of this place and to ourselves to stand united. If you forget our loyalty, you're also turning your back on the roots and values that built this factory. Sam watched as the board members sat up a little straighter, their hardened expressions softening. He could sense the looming question, what would they do next? Suddenly, Mr. Randall's demeanor shifted. Very well. Let us hear what you've gathered. Present your evidence to this meeting. Maybe we can still find a way forward that pleases both sides. A wave of relief washed over Sam, hope flickering like sunlight after a tempest. Thank you. He could barely grip the words, feeling an unyielding rush of warmth alongside the confidence of his coworkers. As they gathered their thoughts and shared their stories, tales of mentorship, learning, unity, Sam felt the bond between them solidifying. They were a community fighting for one another. They weren't just cogs in a machine, they were a family driven by shared dreams. In that moment, something profound began to shift within him and Jake. Sam knew they were finally ready to carve their own paths beyond their father's legacies, while Jake embraced who he was and who he wanted to be, no longer just Barry's son. With every ripple of hope echoed by their collective voices, Sam felt the heaviness lift. They were standing for something meaningful, something real. And as they bore witness to their shared stories and struggles, the truth was undeniable: they were not just fighting for a job, but for the soul of their community. They were reclaiming their narrative, building a foundation that wouldn't just withstand storms, but would inspire future generations. As the meeting adjourned, with Lucas looking resolute, Sam turned to Jake with a grin, a radiant smile lighting up his face. They emerged from the chaos stronger, united in purpose. In that moment, they understood the true victory wasn't just saving Lucas, it was in transforming their futures. Together, let this journey resonate. Stand by each other, fight for what's right, and never forget the strength that lies within a community. Now, if you felt this story touch your heart, and you want to miss the next exclusive Tales of Transformation, you need to subscribe now to the channel. This is the moment to show your support by hitting that like button to feed the algorithm. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this journey. Your voice matters, and please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this community through these actions.